Hey frag heads and fragrance lovers, if you want to smell amazing, if you want to smell great and learn about fragrances, you've come to the right place. Welcome back to my channel. It's Benjamin here, bringing you another fantastic fragrance review. So today it's called Meteore. I think that's how you spell it. It's got double hyphens on it. Hopefully you can see that, from the house of Louis Vuitton. And this fragrance is actually quite a freshie. It's actually their kind of more versatile, kind of aiming at men's fragrances. That's what this is. Let me tell you all the details. Before I do, let me know in the comment sections below, what is your favorite fresh masculine fragrance? And have you tried these fragrances? And have you heard about this one in that comment section below? So let's get involved. Let's get engaged in my channel. Then please do that, my friend. And if you enjoy the content, you know what to do. So this fragrance here, it's a freshie. You got bergamot off the top, you got some mandarin, you got some neroli. It's fresh and crisp. Honestly, I'm hit with some sourness right off the top of the fragrance. It might be the musk, it might be some interesting aldehydes. But I have to say, this fragrance has a very urban and contemporary feel about it, and it reminded me of a wet concrete type of vibe. So whenever you go outside and that wet rain hits the pavement, it kind of gives you that wet asphalt type of vibe, or concrete even. More of a concrete, but still it could smell like a road if that's what you're more familiar with. It's going to give you a similar effect. Not really a smoky fragrance though, no tar. Anyways, very fresh fragrance, and then there's this interesting development. It immediately reminded me of Dior Sauvage. When this fragrance was released, that's what people were saying, and they're right. I would say it's more similar to Prada Luna Rossa Carbon than the actual Sauvage. But I can see what you're saying. There are similarities to Bleu de Chanel and Sauvage with this fragrance, but I would say it's most closely resembles the Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, and we'll definitely be talking about that with the price on this sucker at the end of the video, so don't go away. But before we talk about that, it's a good fragrance. I have to tell you about how it smells. It smells decent. It is refined and clean and fresh, and has an urban contemporary feeling about it. Again, that reminds me of wet concrete. But is it really an amazing smell? No, I can't be positive about this. Maybe these types of fragrances really aren't my style with the Bleu de Sauvages and I do really like the EDP Bleu de Chanel. I think that's quite good. I can see where Elysium does by Roger Dove does smell quite fantastic. But this doesn't really do much of anything for me. It's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more of a casual fragrance. It doesn't really have that notice me playful vibe. It doesn't really go on that fresh fancy vibe either, that some of these fragrances might go in the direction of that direction. So this one really doesn't do much of anything for me. In the dry down, there's quite a few spices listed as well. You get black pepper, I think pink pepper, and Szechuan pepper. If you're not familiar, Szechuan pepper is a more, I believe it's a Chinese spot, almost like a peppercorn. It's a little bit more fiery, and it has a freshness, like a citrusy quality to it. I actually love Szechuan pepper. It's a beautiful spice. Highly encourage you to try it out in your cooking. But in here, I don't really notice a lot of it. I was actually really looking forward to that Szechuan pepper when I saw that as a note with this fragrance. I was looking forward to picking that out of this. There is a little bit of warmth in the heart of this fragrance. It doesn't fall completely flat as far as spices go. I would say the biggest pepper out of the three, the black, the pink, and the Szechuan, it's probably the black pepper that really comes out the most in this fragrance. So quite a few spices supposedly, but you don't really notice them that much. But there is a woody, spicy element to this fragrance, and then in the base you get some plain old musk. The Louis Vuitton musk is decent quality. I don't think it's anything to write home about, but it's pretty well done, and it does become soft and give a nice smooth transition as the fragrance slowly dries down. So not a bad fragrance by any means, but it didn't really do anything special or new. And with this design, I do like Szechuan pepper, and that excited me, but I don't know if that fits in the fragrance. And they didn't really make it a big element, which would maybe have thrown off the feeling of this fragrance. But this fragrance did need something unique. I don't know if it should have been Szechuan pepper, but it certainly needed something. So getting into not my final thoughts, we'll get to that at the end of the video, but the longevity with this fragrance and the performance. This is about a 7-8 hour fragrance. It actually is a pretty decent, acceptable projection fragrance. Sillage is actually quite good, but I wouldn't say it's beast mode. And again, I'd say the projection is more on the average side. So it'll get you through a workday. It'll get you through an event, a meet and greet, a social. You know, 7 or 8 hours is more than enough for most situations. If you are working a very long workday, if, like 12 hours in a day, you might want to reapply. And I don't know if you're a really hard working man like that. I don't know if you really wear fragrances throughout the day. Let me know if you're a really hard working man. Maybe you work repairing diesel engines or something. Let me know if you want a fragrance and you have to have that 10-12 hours performance. Maybe you go for Montals, Monsaras. I'm not really sure what you'd wear. But this fragrance is decent. Compliment factor wise, it did decently. This DNA style of fragrance does, you know, for a lot of people, it smells, you know, slightly masculine and slightly urban and a little bit contemporary, but not too much. You know, it doesn't make you smell like an alien like Victor and Rolf Antidote, even though that was a great fragrance. Inside joke. But this fragrance here, I guess I'm just not really blown away by it. It works. You can get reactions with it. It's simple. It's easy to understand. And some people seem to like it. It didn't get me gushed over. People didn't seem to chase me down or become addicted to it. But it did get some nice reactions. But I don't think it was anything overtly special. I've smelled quite a few, reviewed a few, and worn quite a few fragrances in this blue, slightly aquatic, modern style that does something quite similar for a lot better price. So let's talk about my final thoughts with the price. These fragrances here for 100 mils are $265. You can get a refill once you run through your bottle for a discounted price. I don't know how much those are. I've never actually been to a Louis Vuitton boutique, and I've never refilled one of these bottles. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was still, you know, maybe half the price. A refill was $130 or so, 140 plus tax. I'm not really sure, but even at that, I don't really like it, even if it was half price. I think these fragrances are very overtly priced. At $265, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when, you know, Dior Sauvage is still so popular. You know, you could go for Bleu de Chanel, in my opinion, get just as good, if not better quality for your money. And I think that Dior Sauvage and Bleu de Chanel are overpriced for what they are. But this really doesn't bring anything special. And again, these fragrances from the Louis Vuitton line feel very molecule-like. Again, if you go to their website, they claim to be very sustainable with their fragrances, and I think that leads to these fragrances having very few organic or natural ingredients at all, which isn't a bad thing. You can make beautiful fragrances out of purely synthetic notes, and most fragrances are purely synthetic. But that backbone, having 10 or 20% of the naturals, 10 or 20% of those oils that you are using in the fragrance, it really gives a backbone and a richness and can really add some depth and some character. And a lot of perfumers say that the best fragrances really do have 10 or even 20% natural. So I feel like that something is missing from these. Again, the very opening of this fragrance was sour. I almost had flashbacks of gray flannel, which, if you don't know, that fragrance disturbed me. It almost made me quit fragrances. It was one of the first fragrances I ever bought, especially as a cheapie at a like a Ross or TJ Maxx. And this fragrance has that sour, a little bit of the concrete again, or even car exhaust vibe. It's just not very pleasant. I think if you want something like this for the money, you could get Prada Luna Rossa Carbon for 40, 50, even 60 odd dollars, and it would be a much better deal than this. You could get yourself a big bottle and spray as much as you want of that, you know, that carbon, Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, and you know, have so much money to spare. Have $200 still in your pocket, and would probably make you smell better, and it actually smells better, the Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, than this, in my humble opinion. So it does have its muskiness. It does have something to it, but it's not fancy. I don't think I cannot recommend this fragrance. I think it's highly overpriced, and I can see what they were maybe going for. They claim that some of these notes, I think it's the neroli and the mandarin supposedly are very special, and there is a vetiver here which I haven't really mentioned yet. I almost forgot to mention that Java vetiver, which is a little bit more of a musky vetiver, but I feel like there's very little of it. So I pretty much almost forgot to even mention that Java vetiver, which is a fantastic note. Wish more fragrances would have it, but it's actually really hard to source and get into a fragrance. So I feel like there's very little of that vetiver here in this fragrance. Anyways, a decent fragrance. Wish it was something different. Wish it had that special element, but another fragrance, in my opinion, that is not worth buying. And I try to be as fair with fragrances as I can. But of course, wear what you love. I hope that you find the fragrances that you love. Give this one a try. See if it works for you. This might be the blue fragrance for you. Let me know how I did in the comment sections below. Help me out. Give me a comment. Let me know if you liked my fragrance review, if it was thorough, if it was informative, and if I helped you on your fragrance journey of smelling great. That's what this channel is all about. Finding beautiful fragrances, wearing those beautiful fragrances, and just having a good time. That's what my channel is all about. Hope that you enjoyed my review today, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. I upload Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so I hope to see you in the next video. If you don't want to miss out on the next one, you know what to do down below. And I'll see you soon, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Peace out, and bye.